So I'm dressed nice right now. Um, but like I'll make a kind of quick video on a certain topic. And the topic is kind of like the trap of what happens if you build too quickly, and why it's a trap, and why it's not something you want to do. So what happens if you go to build too quickly is that if you achieve the goal, if you achieve the end result of what you wanted to build, of what you wanted to get to, it still won't always be complete versus if you had taken your time. So let's say you have a child and you're trying to raise the child. Would you have the goal be to raise the child as fast as possible? No, not necessarily. You'd want to have quality development. You'd want the child to get to possess all the right characteristics and qualities and to grow into the type of person that you would want them to be. I believe for something to be grown beautifully and optimally, it takes time, and certain things of it can't be rushed. And because of that, a lot of the time, if you could get there sooner and quicker and faster, you might not want to, because at the end of the day, the goal isn't the goal isn't what you get, but it's who you become and how your character has to grow, and who you become as a person. And with the second thing being, I guess, like what you kind of contribute to others. So an example in sport of powerlifting of what happens if you grow too quickly. I can think of so many different lifters, but a good example that comes to mind is George Leeman. George Leeman, he started lifting, I think, when he was like 14 or 15, and then he lifted really aggressively. He was on the forums at that time, and everyone kind of like laughed at him and thought he was like an idiot. And he continued to ascend, continued to keep getting better, and muscle masochist. So like he would train insane, train like crazy, really overtrain and overeat and bulk like crazy. And he tried to do it naturally and hit crazy numbers as a natural. He had like a 750 squat as a natural, something like that, and like a 700 or 750 deadlift, and like 4 something bench, and he bulked like crazy. And then after that, he decided to hop on stuff when he went to like a really high level naturally, and he continued to progress. He hit that 900-pound deadlift, a 500 bench, I think, and like other like really crazy lifts. But he got out of powerlifting, and like he said in different videos of kind of his own admission and him talking about it, that of his training regrets, one of his biggest regrets was doing it too quickly, doing it too aggressively, because he put his body through hell, and he got the result quicker, so he got the end goals quicker. But if you look like Ed Cohn, like his competitive numbers, he had some of the best numbers in the world. It took him 20 years to get to it, But then George Leeman hit really big numbers, insane numbers in just a few years. And you could say like, oh, well, yeah, maybe I want to do it in less time. But nothing is for free, and everything comes at a fucking price. So when he did it in that way, it's like it really did come at a price. He had to kind of give up, his health. He had to sacrifice like a lot of different things. Time with friends, time with girls, time with other things. He was like, I don't care if I become like an obese fat piece of shit. Like, if it makes me stronger, cool. If I can do it faster, cool. And like he went and did it, and he said that like he literally put his body through hell. He put his body through like insane things, and he survived, but he wouldn't recommend it. And the clients he trained, he doesn't suggest it to them or have them do the same. And I thought it's fascinating, that like he kind of did that, but it goes to show that maybe it's not the ideal path, and it's not the fulfilling path, and at the end of the day you accomplish your goal, and then what? George Leeman, he would say that like his goal was, when he was young and he was a teenager and he was pretty depressed, his goal was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna train hard, train like crazy, do all of this, and then like when I do it, I'm gonna like, he said he was gonna lift his big deadlift, and then he was gonna like kill himself like on the stage or something like that, something insane like that, and he was like suicidal and pretty depressed for a long time. And success in entrepreneurship or powerlifting or other sports, it's like glamorized as like, oh, do or die mentality, and you're gonna be super hardcore and all of this, and like what are you willing to sacrifice, and you work out 12 hours a day and all of this. But I mean, I find that the reality of it is like it's much the opposite, you know, that it's like whatever you do, even if it's an unconventional field, you have to be willing to do things that you don't like, be able to do a lot of things that you don't like, and kind of you have to be able to put your head down and do the dirty work, the boring work, and the small boring stuff that no one wants to do. And often that's what makes a champion, is the person who does those small boring things over a long time. If you do things too fast and you try to do it too aggressively, too quickly, it can lead to health risks. It can lead to a lot more risk for rewards that may become quicker, but then at much more risk. But the point is that you don't have to do it that way. You know, you could take small risks, take the type of risks where you either make a small win or you break even, and you do a lot of risks like that, you know, where it's, I mean, a good reward, or it's like low risk. You're not gonna like bet the farm, so to speak. You're not gonna get massively injured. You're not gonna put your health in jeopardy or other things. So I mean, a balanced path and getting better over time goes a long way. When you go 5 or 10 years and you're, let's say you're lifting those George Leeman numbers in 10 years instead of 3 or 4, but then you're doing it in a much more healthy way. You're healthy, you're balanced, you have your life balanced and in check, your family life is in check, your friendships, your relationships, your other hobbies and stuff, they're all in check, and you get to keep those gains for however much longer, you know, because you took the time to do it, and you got to ease into it versus just like kind of crash like head first into it. So those are some thoughts. And then just the like final thing is that I feel like these lifters that did go and kind of do it aggressively, where they built it in like a really short amount of time, and they did it in a really compressed amount of time and did it super aggressively and taking massive risks on health or spending a ton of money or whatever else. I feel like they kind of did it and dropped out, you know, like they did it, they reached their goal, and then they were like, fuck, that was hard, and like, fuck, I almost killed myself, and then like, okay, I'm done, and that's it. And like, they didn't want to stay with it, you know, where I do feel that way. Like George Leeman, he doesn't power lift anymore, he doesn't even lift that much anymore, or lift heavy, or lift at all. Same Eddie Hall, I feel like he almost killed himself like a few times. He was insane and tried to do it as quickly as he could, as aggressively as he could, and he put up, I mean, best numbers in the world, you know, he really did it. And then once he did, he retired when he's like 30, where like you could do strongman a lot longer, but if you did, you can't put your life on the line every single year. You can be really aggressive and train hard and continue to progress, but then it's a different thing to sacrifice everything or try to be so aggressive that a lot of other things kind of fall apart. And I feel like, yeah, different examples of different people that did that, like once they hit that goal, maybe they hit it pretty quickly, they like quit, or they didn't want to do their thing anymore, they didn't want to do their sport or business or passion or whatever they were doing anymore. And I mean, it just goes to show that, like, at the end of the day, we have these goals, we want to achieve them, but part of it is that it should be meaningful work too, and like part of it is like, yeah, you want to win, but wouldn't you also just want to be fulfilled, to get to just wake up and go and lift weights in the gym and just enjoy lifting weights and enjoy the process, like the simple joy of it that you had like when you were like a kid, or when you went to the gym for your first time and you were making those noob gains, you know? I think that's one of the best joys. And at the end of the day, it's like, F the competition. I've heard it that, and I agree with this, that like if I could go and like know I'd make no more progress, no more gains, would I still go and do it? And it's like, yeah, because at the end of the day, you do it just because you love it, and like it's a relationship you have with it, and you've grown it over a long time, and that's a beautiful thing in its own right, you know? So those are just kind of my thoughts, and those are some of the reasons why I think there's a lot of value in different aspects and different respects of taking the time to grow something, why you don't want to build super aggressively, and why sometimes it's good to take time to grow, and you don't want to grow or build or progress towards your goal as fast as possible.